thrilled to pieces with this brand new product called Life is Best. Scott Klusendorf, surprise, went out to university campuses. Boy, he ran into some postmoderns.
Okay, well, biologically speaking, as an embryo, if it's taken outside the mother's womb, it won't survive anyway. So if I took an embryo out, it's going to die regardless. Versus a toddler can survive without its mother.
What if a mother can only sustain her child's life by feeding him with her breast milk? The child can't survive on other food. Would it be okay to kill that child because it depends totally on the mother for survival?
No, but at that point you can find someone else who will take care of it. You can't take the embryo out of the body and put it in somebody else and say, okay, take care of my embryo, let it finish baking inside of you and then have it.
Okay, but my point is, what I hear you saying, correct me if I'm wrong, dependency on the mother is what means the embryo can be killed. Is that right?
No.
No, what? Help me out.
As an embryo, you're not fully formed.
Okay.
So I guess you can say it is dependency because, yeah, without the mother, it's not gonna survive. Once you take it after a certain, until it's about 22, 24 weeks old, it's not gonna make it. And at that point, most abortions are illegal anyway because that's a partial birth. Before that, because it can't survive without the womb and the nutrients that's coming from the mother, it's not, I don't consider it a human being.
Don't miss what you just heard. In a postmodern world, people make stuff up about what gives us value, and the things they bring to the table are wholly without significance. Why does it matter that I depend on another human being before someone can say, oh yeah, that guy can't be killed? In postmodernism, what happens is might makes right. Whoever's in power decides what that trait is that gives us a right to life, and that's what we go with. The problem is, of course, you can't get human equality in that kind of world. So here's what you got to do. When they bring up these traits that, by the way, they're just plucking out of thin air. There's no rational basis for them. They're just pulling them out of the sky. You want to give a good counterexample and point out the problem with it. And that's exactly what I did there. I asked a very direct question to move the conversation from her abstract, arbitrary standard to the real world. And the question I asked was simply this: why does my dependency on another human being mean that I can be killed? She didn't have an answer.
Suppose a mother gives birth prematurely in Manhattan to a child at 21 weeks, which we can sustain some children that young now. But suppose another woman gives premature birth in China at 28 weeks, but the technology isn't there to sustain the child. Is the child in China any less human and valuable than the one in New York? So dependency, what would you say?
Here are 3 takeaways on postmodernism. First, some very nice people can inadvertently say some very mean things. What you heard in that exchange just a moment ago was someone asserting that large people who are independent can pick on small people who are dependent. We call that bullying. Second takeaway, postmodernism is self-refuting. As soon as you say everything is a matter of personal perspective, the obvious question is that true or just your perspective? Third takeaway, you may think it's just kids espousing this stuff. No. Our own Supreme Court said in the Casey decision that when it comes to defining human life, it's up to each individual for himself to determine the mystery of human life and the meaning of the universe. Can I tell you what the Supreme Court just did? They espoused postmodernism.
And whilst we wait for that Supreme Court to come to their senses, in the meantime, babies die.